And live through Sky 5 once again. Chris Knight, our photographer, is in Sky 5. Chris, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Chris, bring us up to date on what you are seeing from where you are. The scene has not changed much. The road continues to remain closed down, and that's the way it's been since this all went down. Is that right?
Yeah, the road is still closed down. It's clearly they're in the investigation phase of this incident. There were some life squads here when we first got here, and they've left, seemingly, in the last 10 or 15 minutes. And it leaves behind investigators who are kind of walking between the two vehicles.
Chris, you're a volunteer firefighter, so I know you've come upon some rough scenes before, but I'm a little puzzled as to how one of the students could have died and the others all suffered minor cuts and injuries. What are you guessing from what you're able to see of that area of the bus that we're looking at right now that's really suffered most of the damage? How do you think this went down?
Well, I mean, you just look at the size of this, the back side of this bus, pretty dented in. I'm imagining if folks were sitting in that back area there, clearly that's the worst heavy damage there, and that's, I'm sure, where the fatality occurred. But you know what? Saying that, anywhere on this bus, if they came to a rapid stop, you got, trauma that could be, in the front of that bus. Who knows? But I'm guessing that that area in the back there, the worst part of that bus, is where their fatality took place.
Chris, we know this is a parent's worst nightmare. A lot of children take the school bus every morning. My son does, and has to go a long way, it seems, to get to his school. This was a bus filled with kids of all different ages, is what we are hearing, from 5 all the way up to maybe 16, and in this case from a couple different schools. And that's usually the case in a rural area where they may stop for kids and then stop at several schools on the way in.
Yeah, I would imagine, I mean, I live in a suburb, and so our kids ride with other kids their age, but out here, you can imagine that's probably not practical. I'm going to pull out here. I just want to show you the curviness in this roadway. It's pretty pronounced, and I can only imagine what these drivers saw as they were heading towards each other here.
Yeah, Chris, if you would zoom into that house by the bus. We spoke with the man who owns that house, Ronald Hess, earlier.
I heard that.
Yeah, he took in the kids who got off the bus and held them in his house until the emergency vehicles could arrive. Had a heart-wrenching conversation with him because he described one of the children trying to get back on the bus, saying that he needed to help his brother. And, as a parent, it's a real conflict with my role as a journalist, but I can't help but imagine that what happened was that one of the children who died, or the child who died, was the sibling of one of the other children on this bus, which of course would jibe with what we've been saying about a rural area and kids of many ages all riding the same bus. Just absolutely a tragic situation out there.
I think this guy was obviously a godsend to the people on this bus in this terrible situation. And he stepped in, from what I heard, and got those kids away from the scene, which is exactly what you want to do. And made it easier for the emergency people to get, into that bus and get to the people that were injured.
This dump truck, Chris, carrying a load of rock is what we're hearing. Is there a quarry nearby, possibly, that Mr. Hess, as Jonathan was talking about, seemed to describe that these trucks are common, coming and going on this roadway? Looks like it's filled a load of rocks. It could be that they are often traveling to and from along this route.
There are quarries down here, having flown over this part of Kentucky quite a bit. I don't see anything right nearby us, but it doesn't surprise me that this truck's on its way to, dump that out, and probably travels this road, more than most people do, in and out of the quarry. But, yeah, you can see it's like broken up rock quite a bit. I mean, it looked like a full load. He lost every bit of it right there.
Absolutely.
And on the driver's side.
And you know that gravel truck must have weighed an impressive amount, and for it to be kind of flipped on its side like that must have been quite an impact.
I can only imagine.
All right. Well, Chris Knight, thank you so much for giving us such a unique perspective on this tragedy. Certainly a valuable tool we have in that helicopter, and you as well, being able to talk and manipulate that camera at the same time. We will, of course, speak to you later on in the day, Chris, and stay safe out there.
We are expecting a news conference with